Welcome to The Trend. I'm Rebecca Granet. Check out what I have, the new book out today from best-selling author Veronica Roth. It is called Carve The Mark. She is the mastermind behind the Divergent series, and she's here today to give us a little inside scoop on her latest story. So, Veronica, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Of course, and congratulations. What an exciting day for you.
Yeah, it's a little nuts.
How do you feel like it's finally out there?
I feel a little bit like removed from it, I think, because I've been anticipating this for so long. It's like, oh, people are really going to buy it tonight, hopefully.
It's like a pinch me moment kind of a thing?
Yeah, a little bit. Ooh, sorry.
So, no. Take me to the moment when you first thought of this book, the inspiration, the first spark that you had.
Well, it's kind of hard to remember because I think the original, like, very early spark of this book was when I was, like, 12 years old.
No.
Yeah, so just like, you wouldn't even recognize it, you know, but it was this outline, basic outline of a young man who's kind of taken from his home and has to adapt to this new culture. That was, like, the basic plot. And it just didn't, it wasn't working because I wasn't finding the right context, and also I was really young, too young to make that story work, I think, but it wasn't until it was kind of like morphing into a sci-fi kind of space adventure fantasy thing that it started to work.
And so when you were that age, did you write it down somewhere? Was it just a thought in your head? Or?
No, we had, like, you know, one of those really old Macintosh computers with just the floppy drive.
Uh-oh, are you dating yourself now? No.
Yes. It was an amazing computer at the time.
Yes.
But yeah, I typed
remember the floppy drives. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, those, you know, those discs.
Yeah.
Those discs.
And so you typed what on that? Just the initial idea or pages?
Yeah,
or?
Pages. I mean, I would write little pieces of stories that I had in mind, and usually I'd kind of like peter out after like 30 pages or something, but you know, the longest version of this that I wrote before that was probably like 300 pages.
Oh, wow.
But it wasn't finished. It was just like, so I just loved writing. So the length wasn't daunting to me. It was just part of, I just enjoyed it.
Getting it out there.
Yeah.
So this was actually something you conceptualized before the Divergent series even.
Yeah, it was. And then
Cool.
Divergent felt like more urgent and timely for me at that particular time, but then when I was finished with it, I was like, what should I do next? And I wanted to return to something I knew I loved, so.
So you classify this book as a sci-fi fantasy
I do.
book.
Yeah.
For those, without giving it all away, or as much as you can give away, can you kind of describe sort of the plot or the storyline for those who are going to go out and get this book?
So it's about a young man named Akos who is kidnapped along with his brother, and he's taken into this enemy country, which is ruled by a dictator whose name is Rizek. Rizek's sister, Syra, is someone that Akos meets when he's there, and she's got a lot of problems of her own, and some of them he can help her with. So they're basically trying to figure things out together, whether they can work together or whether, like, this huge history of war between their countries kind of keeps them from being able to be friends. So it's kind of like the general outline of it, I would say.
Is this at heart a love story? Is it?
There's definitely, there's a love story in it. I think of it way more as a kind of like friendship story.
Okay.
You know, but I feel like those things aren't always so different. But the way I approach, like, romantic stories is usually as like a foundation of friendship, so.
Now, you have a ton of loyal, amazing fans who love your work. And the Divergent series was a world that you created. What was it like creating this new world? And do you think, now that it's out, that they'll be compared in some way?
Well, I'm sure they'll be compared, since it's the only work that I've made, you know. I do think they have things in common, like they're kind of action-y stories. There's, like, a lot of stuff about family drama and political maneuverings and all that stuff. So there's definitely things in common. But creating this entirely new galaxy and new universe was, I don't know, it was really freeing in a way, especially after writing dystopian, which really has to find its foundation in our world. It has to make sense to us, and it has to remind us of things that we see around us. Otherwise, it doesn't really feel like dystopian. So for me, this was kind of like an act of freedom. It was like, I get to create everything from scratch. I don't have to think about the cities in Chicago or where the compounds would be located or whether these things would be possible. I have to create these new worlds, new rules in a new world.
So it was a freeing process.
Yeah, I really liked it. I mean, it's definitely challenging, but but I loved it. Like, it was fun, so.
Yeah, all of the rules and sort of parameters that you created for yourself in the Divergent series don't apply here anymore.
Yeah.
So you can have kind of that new, exciting feeling.
Yeah, it's like a blank slate, a little bit.
Yeah. What was, and now I know you said that you had the 300 pages and you've sort of had this idea in your head for a long time, but I guess every writer has their writing process, or like maybe the time of day that you feel most creative, or if you worked on this every day. What was your process for this like?
I think this book was, I kind of describe it to myself as 2 steps forward, 1 step back. So, you know, I'd make some progress, and then I'd be like, oh, that's not right, and I'd have to go backwards and fix it. And then,
okay.
So I was really making very slow but steady progress toward finishing, and I did a lot of drafts. So I really feel like I figure out how to do things right by doing them wrong. That's kind of like,
yeah, that makes sense.
Right, but it's not, it doesn't feel terribly efficient, but that's the way the story worked. So it was kind of a joy to like problem solve as I went. I didn't feel encumbered by the story issues I encountered. It was more like an opportunity to be creative.
Yeah.
So it was fun.
Now for you, are you like a coffee shop writer? Are you an at-home writer? Are you like, where can you be found when you're writing?
I rotate. So at certain
She's
stages,
a rotator.
I'm a rotator. At certain stages of the process, I'll go to coffee shops because I can't stand to be at home anymore. I also have an office, you know, with like a standing desk and stuff. So I do that sometimes, and then sometimes I'm on the couch in the living room. So I just kind of, whatever feels right is where I go.
Makes sense. So you've said that you love writing for young adults. That's the genre that you're sort of in.
Yeah.
In writing this, there are moments where there's like action scenes, there's love scenes in all of your work. Do you ever feel, because your fans are sort of hanging on your every word, do you ever feel sort of like that social responsibility as to what you're writing in terms of
like content?
Yeah, like if you have to maybe temper anything or change anything, or you can just be free.
I don't really feel that way. I think teenagers can handle quite a bit.
Yeah.
I mean, it kind of depends on the teenager, but often, like, young people, when they read, they're self-selecting. So I remember when I was 14, I picked up a science fiction novel for grown-ups. And in the first scene, there was, like, a pretty graphic sex scene. And I was like, I don't think I'm ready for that. And I, like, closed it.
Shut that book.
Yeah, and so I think, like, there are a lot of concerned parents out there. But they're maybe not giving their kids enough credit. It kind of depends. But no, I feel a responsibility basically to tell like an emotional truth inside of a fictional world, and that's about it.
Okay, so you think that everybody can handle it?
Yeah, I feel like I tried to treat my readers with respect.
Which is exactly perfect. In this book, you write from 2 perspectives.
Yes.
That's not the first time that's been done with you.
No.
So
why do I do these things to myself?
I was going to say, this has to be hard. What is it like changing perspectives, and why make that choice?
So I didn't want to, because I did that with Allegiant, and I felt like Tobias and Triss's voices in Allegiant were so different. And then the feedback I got from readers was, they don't sound that different, right? So they sound different to me, but not to other people. So I was like, okay, I don't know if I'm the kind of writer who does this well. But then I think when you're writing a story and you're trying to show that there's a very complex situation happening between 2 warring cultures, you really need one person from each side to be talking to you. So I needed both of them. There was kind of no way to make the story work in the way that I wanted it to without having both voices in it. But Akos's voice is in 3rd person for a lot of reasons, but hopefully that helps them to be like easily distinguished from each other.
And when you write, so many people are gleaning so much from your words, and they're like loving what you do, and it does something for them. But for you as a writer, like, what does writing do for you?
That's a good question.
Oh, well, thank you.
I think it helps me to work something out. Like, I never know exactly what I'm working through thematically until I'm done. So I'm not trying to say anything with the book exactly. I'm trying to, like, deal with something inside myself. So for me, I think, like, what I learned from writing this book is the way that I approach people who are different from me, you know, because it's easy to demonize people who are not like you, but the more you get to know them and the more you encounter them, the more you see that people are complicated and nuanced, no matter, you know, they might hold beliefs that are offensive to you, but they are still people, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that's probably something we could use a little more of. I'm certainly finding myself needing a little more of it now.
Tolerance.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And that's maybe a central theme in this book then for people?
I think it ended up being that way, yeah.
So with that, I want to transition us to the 10 for 10 challenge. We have
Okay.
10 questions and you have 10 seconds. I know, this is your exciting part, right? You have 10 seconds to answer each. You're ready.
Okay.
Here we go. One of the concepts in the book is called a current gift.
Yes.
If you had a current gift, what would it be?
Okay, so I know it's like 10 seconds, so I better get on it.
Get as close as you can, yeah.
So every current gift has a good part and a bad part. So it's not something you like want, really. It's like, oh, what would mine be? So I think I'm sort of like forthright, maybe to a fault. So maybe my gift would be to tell when other people are lying, but I would be unable to lie myself.
Aha. Okay.
A blessing and a curse.
And if any of that confused you,
just read it.
you'll get more clues when you read it.
Yeah.
Of all the characters in your stories, who do you love the most of all the stories you've written?
Who do I love the
Yes.
most?
Who's maybe the closest to your heart?
Yeah, well, I think right now it's still Triss.
Really?
So, yeah, she was like a voice in my head for years. You know, like for the 4 years before I actually wrote the book, after I thought of it, and then, you know, for the years I was working on them, like she and I were like close.
Is she like
it feels
a little piece
weird.
of you, would you say?
Yeah, she feels like, I know that sounds like writers talk about characters like they're real people, which is
No,
kind
it
of
makes total sense.
bonkers. But yeah, I mean, she really like, she lived inside my head for so long. It's going to take a while to love any character quite as much.
Does she ever, and we'll just pause for 1 second, does she ever come back, like in your day-to-day? Are there like little, maybe...
Not really, not anymore.
Not anymore?
Yeah. I had to like attach myself to the new ones. And I really do love them too, but I just, you know, we haven't spent as much time together yet.
Yes. You need to go out and have some tea with them and see what happens.
Yeah, sure.
Favorite hobby or thing to do outside of writing?
Kickboxing.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
I just started, so I'm no good. But I do find it really fun, and, you know, it relieves a lot of tension, and it's good exercise, and I really enjoy it.
Okay. Something a fan has said to you that really resonated with you?
Oh, I've gotten a lot of great feedback from fans, but I think one time I got a letter from someone who had lost her father like a couple months before, and she was just telling me about how the books felt honest about grief and loss, the Divergent books, and that was really comforting to her. And it was very simple, but I don't know, it just like, it helped me a lot. It meant so much to me. I feel like I carry it around to like, I don't know, to be comforting or to remind me why I write, like why I want to. Yeah.
That is so sweet.
Yeah.
Your favorite author or book that's something different than your own?
Oh, so I can't say I'm my favorite author.
Exactly.
No. I wouldn't say that
not
anyway.
Allowed.
That's so hard. Picking a favorite author is just like, but okay, so maybe like favorite.
Maybe one of the favorites.
Yeah,
we're not
one of my
super strict
favorites.
here. We're cool. We don't.
One of my favorites is Lois Lowry. She wrote The Giver and a bunch of other. I mean, her books are just beautiful, and she's older, but still manages to like connect so well to young people. I don't know. I just really admire her.
Mm-hmm. 2 or 3, so I know you put out sort of a pronunciation guide for this book. Yeah, because there's a lot. I mean, I think in our heads, when everybody reads this in their heads, you're all going to have your own version of what
Which is fine. I mean, they're made up, so it's not like there's a real right way to say them or a wrong way. But
we have the source here.
Yep.
So 2 or 3, just quickly, 2 or 3 of maybe the most important words that you would hope people would pronounce a certain way. Give us sort of like the...
Okay. So the country that the main character Akos is from is pronounced Thuva, which I think trips a lot of people up. So Thuva.
Thuva.
And then Syra is not Syra, but it's Syra.
Syra.
Like a sigh.
Ah.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Do you see that?
It's almost like we planned that.
Yes.
I'm trying to think. And then Rizek is the villain, kind of antagonist. So
Rizek.
It looks like Rizek, but it's Rizek.
Okay. So we're going to get that out there properly.
Yeah.
The strangest type of background research you've had to do for any of your books?
I don't know. For Carve the Mark, I did a lot of reading about North Korea.
Ah,
So
okay.
it's not based on North Korea, but I wanted to look at how dictatorships maintain power. So one of those ways is by controlling information, and that's something that that like North Korean government has been doing since Kim Il Sung like kind of took power, and now then it was Kim Jong Il, and now it's Kim Il Sung. Whatever. I think I messed up their words,
okay.
their names, but yeah, I found it really interesting, and I thought it would be good to know more about it. So that was kind of it was an odd period. It's very heavy stuff.
Yeah, yeah, and so that sort of manifests itself in some ways here.
Yeah.
And your favorite quote from Carve the Mark?
Oh my gosh!
You were excited for this, but this is the tough part of the journey in this interview.
Ooh, well, one of the ones I really like is "Soft hearts make the universe worth living in."
Are we allowed to know who says that, or is that?
No, it would be. It's something you're not allowed. It's just it would be really hard to explain. But
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait and see.
Okay. You got to get the book to find out.
Yeah.
You're on a book tour, or a sojourn, as you like to call it.
Yeah.
Right? I saw that on your Twitter. Mm-hmm. During your New York stay, which I know is brief.
Yeah.
Have you been able to see anything? Have you gotten the opportunity to explore anything that might have been enriching or different?
A little bit, but I was kind of sick. You might be able to hear in my voice.
You mask it well.
Oh, thank you. So it's been a little tough to sojourn here, but I did find out from my mom all of the apartments that she used to live in when she lived here.
No way!
Yeah, and then the one that she had with my father was in Brooklyn Heights. So
So you were born here, right? You were born
I was born in Mount Kisco.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's where they lived when they first got married, and then they moved to have kids. But yeah, so I got to see one of them. She lived off 3rd like her entire life here.
Gosh,
so it was like 83rd and 3rd, 36th and 3rd, you know, whatever.
So sort of a more nostalgic.
Yes. So it wasn't what I anticipated doing on my sojourn to New York, but it was definitely meaningful.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of meaning, your last one, what you hope people will take away when they read this book?
Ooh. I hope that it's a world that they want to live in. So some of the books I've loved the most, like including like Dune or Harry Potter or like these big universes, the reason I love them is because I just want to stay there after the story is over. Like, why can't I live in that place and have a magic wand and go to this school? You know, like,
yeah,
that's one of the things that keeps them with me forever. And so I have always wanted to create that for someone else. And, you know, that would be like ideal.
Mm-hmm. So the world that they want to live in. Veronica Roth, thank you so much. Let's let everybody know where they can get, this book is out today.
Yeah.
If you get the book today, you also qualify for the epilogue of the Divergent series,
yes,
which is the free gift called We Can Be Mended.
Mm-hmm. It's just a little bit after the end of Allegiant, like what happens to Tobias.
It's exciting stuff. Everybody's been excited for that too. So if you get it today, you get that as well. This is called Carve the Mark. Veronica Roth, out now. Thank you so much, Veronica. I appreciate you for being here.